The Wonder is a Netflix original film directed by Sebastian Lelio, who also directed A Fantastic Woman and some other things that I don't really know a lot about. It stars Florence Pugh, Keela Lord Cassidy, and Tom Burke. Coming out late in this year means that Netflix views this film as a possible Oscar contender, considering the actors in it, the production value behind it, as well as the director helming the project. The plot follows an English nurse as she is assigned to look after a girl who is said doesn't need food to live. She supposedly lives off manna from heaven. The nurse is highly skeptical and has to prove that she is in fact not a saint to a bunch of people who are not only cheering for the little girl, but are actively wanting to believe her. There are a lot of twists and turns in this film, and I highly recommend watching it. The story is awesome. I was totally invested the entire time, and I loved where it went, and the ending was perfectly satisfying. Now, with that being said, I've never been more frustrated in my whole life while watching a film than I did watching The Wonder. This film was awesome. I loved it. It genuinely became one of my favorites of the year, if not my overall favorite. The cinematography is maybe one of the best I've seen all year. They make great use of this natural lighting and often have harsh shadows on characters' faces. The firelight makes this film like glow with emotion. The locations were stunning, and they actually did shoot this in Ireland where the story takes place. It just looks great. And this makes complete sense as the woman who did The Power of the Dogs cinematography also did this film. She is uber talented, and those two movies have some of the best dramatic cinematography I have ever seen. Her name is Ari Wegner. Shout out to her. She's awesome. This film also has great performances from everyone in it, including a youngish kid, so that's always impressive. The costumes were great, and it just feels like every movie Florence Pugh's in, she's in a flowing dress at one point or another. The score was interesting, to say the least. It was well done, but it did the same thing as Men and Don't Worry Darling, where they used the breathing of the characters in the score itself. This one was a lot less frequent, however, than those two. I think it only happened like 2 or 3 times, so it was never overbearing. The main theme of this movie sounded very spooky. It was very ethereal and almost like horror movie-like at points. It did a great job of getting the feeling of impending doom to come out of this film. The score was done by Matthew Herbert, who has worked with the director before on Gloria Bell. So based on all of that, you think this film would be a 10 out of 10. I swear to you, it is close, if it wasn't for one thing: the way they start and end this movie. I am not kidding, by the way, and this is completely true. They start this film by showing the film set / soundstage where they shot this film, at least the interiors of this film. It is slowly panning across all of this film equipment and setup, and a narrator is explaining how important stories are to our world, and how this story is like really cool and crazy, and everyone involved in this story says it's totally true. Why did they do this? I mean, really, when this shot started, I thought I was watching the wrong movie. Talk about ruining immersion off the bat. I love how films start, particularly good films. They hook you off the first shot. This film, with its award-winning cinematographer at the helm, decides to not hook the audience with visuals or some essence of storytelling, but with literally talking to the audience about how cool this movie is. Isn't that the dumbest thing you've ever heard? It is such a waste, because as the camera pans into the first shot, the only thing I'm thinking of is this is a made-up story. This is not real, which is the opposite thing that the filmmakers wanted me to feel based on the intro dialogue. And when we do get to the actual first shot of the movie, it's fucking great. It's this cool tavern, and our main character is sitting down with a tragic look on her face with great lighting and atmosphere. It could have literally started right here. It hurts me that it didn't. It could have also got rid of the stupid expository narration saying that this is a nurse from England and she's going to Ireland. We find this out naturally 2 minutes later. So saying it before that, it's just redundant. It makes me so genuinely angry. This film would have almost been perfect if not for this, okay? The last scene somehow is worse than the beginning, because at least at the beginning you're not invested into anything yet. This film ends with a satisfying character arc and true growth with multiple characters, and it's shown in a minor and subtle way that is completely effective. Just the way the characters slightly interact with each other in this area shows everything we need to see. But just as you think the credits should be coming, as the story is tied into a nice bow, the camera starts panning again. God fucking damn it. This time over to a lady who actually is in the film. Like in the film, she plays a character named Kitty who couldn't really read very well, and she was like barely in it. But okay, now she's the narrator for some reason. Like, she's dressed in something from her own closet, it looks like. Just like some random, like, 2022 clothes. In a modern soundstage, talking to the audience again about everything this movie was supposed to represent. She explains the motif of this film, which is breathing, literally, explains its meaning to the audience. I am not kidding. I did not want this film to directly tell me what to think. That is absurd to ask. This is a horrible decision. Whoever thought this would be a cool thing is an idiot. If Netflix pushed for this, and I was the director of this film, and they pushed me to put the beginning and end scene into this, I would sue them. It leaves me feeling, as a viewer of the movie, with a bad taste in my mouth after watching one of the best films of the year. How is that possible? That has never happened. Ever. It is ridiculous. Now, I have a theory about how this came to be, and this is just pure speculation, but what if Netflix did push for it? What if they wanted to break the fourth wall to give the audience a view into the filmmaking world itself? Why? Because at this year's Oscars, the 2022-23 Oscars, the movies nominated, at least 2, possibly more, are about movies and what they mean to our society, I guess? I don't know. The Fabelmans, for example, is about how Spielberg fell in love with movies. It's very reminiscent, it's very nostalgic about how movies are made. And Babylon, by Damien Chazelle, is about the golden age of Hollywood craziness. I think Netflix saw where these heavyweight Oscar contenders were going, and said if the Academy is going to be looking for films about films, then we can get our best film of the year, implement some bullshit thing at the beginning and end to show that we care about the process of movie making. A literal movie company, like they don't already care about how movies are made. You know, it's ridiculous. It seems so pandering for some reason, not to mention it's totally pretentious, telling me what I'm supposed to think, and also telling me that the story's cool before we even see the story. It's ridiculous. Oh my god. But doesn't it fit the timeline, at least a little, that Netflix is doing some seedy shit to win an Oscar? I don't know. This movie gets me worked up, man. I've not been worked up watching a movie in a very long time. That shit's crazy. But tell me what you think. Please do watch this movie. It's really good. I can't believe how good it is. But yeah, thanks for watching as always. Much love. I'll catch you guys on the flip.